The only thing that I knew about my circumstances were that I was adopted. I knew that I was placed for adoption, and the reason I thought that I was placed for adoption was because my birth mother was 16, and that was the only information that I would allow them to tell me. It wasn't until I was close to turning 30 that I decided, there's something that I haven't resolved in my life, and I'm getting to a point where it's really something that I think I need to search out, and I felt God moving me in that direction, that calling me to look for my biological mother, and that's essentially what I did. The information that I received upon asking my parents was never anything I would have been prepared for. I learned that I was conceived in rape and incest between my mother and her father, and I never expected that, ever. The first child that was conceived, she was in her early teens, and the child was, through physical violence and abuse, the child did not survive. And the second pregnancy was my birth and adoption. I was placed for adoption at birth, and the 4 subsequent pregnancies after my birth were terminated through abortion. I'm thankful that my parents gave me the privacy that I needed until I was ready to hear the difficult things that they told me. And they learned the information when I was 13. It was published in the local newspaper. My birth mother was at a point in her life that she felt strong enough and able to bring her father to court and prosecute him for the 20 plus years of abuse and the 6 pregnancies that had happened. And she she brought him to court. However, with that, there was very little evidence. There was no proof of his actions. And like I said, I was 13 at the time that she brought him to court, so the pregnancies had taken place several years prior, and my adoption records were sealed. There was no paper trail per se of where I was and how to find me. I had to rely very heavily on my Christian upbringing and my faith, and I knew in my heart that forgiveness is something that I needed to process. I needed to offer forgiveness. By forgiving my biological father for his actions, I was then able to process what had happened and not hold that against him per se, but I was able to move on as well. It allowed me to move on. It freed me from that awful feeling of hatred or dislike towards someone. I absolutely feel like I am here for a reason, and I am God's child, and by no other means would I be here. He has a purpose for me. He has a purpose for every life, and I truly feel that I'm here today, and He has allowed me to live out my life, and it is through His divine purpose that I am here.